A U.S. federal court judge has blocked construction of the controversial Keystone oil pipeline. The judge said the government has failed to properly account for the risk of oil spills or the impact low oil prices could have on the project. It follows an appeal by environmental groups as the companies behind the project prepared to begin work in Montana. New reports assessing the potential environmental impact of the $8 billion plan will now need to be submitted to the courts. Hannah Safford is a researcher at the University of California Davis Policy Institute for Energy, Environment and the Economy. She spoke to us a little earlier. We started by asking her how the decision may affect the Trump administration's energy plans.
I think it illustrates two challenges that the Trump administration is facing. The first challenge is, of course, in moving so quickly to overturn environmental decisions put forward by the Obama administration. They're finding now that they didn't really go through the exercise of dotting their I's and crossing their T's. They issued this permit to permit the pipeline for going forward just a couple of months after Trump took office, and now they're finding out that the judicial system is ruling they didn't do all the proper permitting in order for that to go forward. They're also finding the challenges of relying so heavily on an oil and gas heavy energy strategy. It's becoming increasingly difficult to do that when there's recognition of the climate impacts and other environmental impacts of that. And now the Trump administration has neglected investment in solar energy and another type of energy mix to fall back on. So yeah, certainly a blow for the Trump administration.
How legitimate are the environmental grievances about this? I mean, how strong a case did they have in this?
Certainly legitimate. You have to look at both the direct environmental impacts associated with the construction of the pipeline, as well as the more indirect impacts that you have of extracting oil from the oil sands that the Keystone Pipeline originates at. Shortly after the Trump administration issued their permit allowing construction to go forward, you saw a 200,000 plus gallon oil spill from the South Dakota portion of the pipeline that already exists. So it's clear that the pipeline itself, even if it's possible to construct it in a way that might not have those direct environmental impacts, isn't being done in that way because we've already seen those types of damages. And then again, the judge ruling to block the construction of the pipeline found that the Trump administration hasn't done a sufficient job of accounting for the climate impacts of the oil sands, and so then that's something that needs to be further studied.
So where does this case go from here from the legal standpoint? Is this something that could go all the way to the Supreme Court?
It certainly is. That would be the next step in this judicial system. So right now that injunction was done by a federal district court. So there's two options here. Either the Trump administration could decide to comply with the district court's ruling and continue to do that sort of environmental assessment that's been requested, or they could appeal up to a higher court. My guess is that the Trump administration is going to look to do the latter, since that'll be a faster process.